Now let's get added a few more features. I want to come in and I want to start a new sketch on the front plane. And I want to cut out the little viewing area. So I'm going to turn back on my layout sketch so that way I can see part of these lines. And I want that viewer window to be right at the intersection. And you notice how I hovered over and highlighted both of those lines. Then I could kind of come to the intersection, and that will allow me to create that relationship right at that intersection. I want to finish that off with a smart dimension from my center line up to the top. Will come up about 14.5 millimeters. That'll give us the viewing window that we want. One of the things that I noticed is that I had something that was blue. So I ended up with an extra extraneous line here, little mishit on the mouse. That would have given me an error that I would have had to deal with. Corey Bauer's got a class here on Pluralsight about errors and design changes. And so if you run into problems with sketch errors, be sure to check out his course, and that way you could get further details about how to deal with those very specifically. So this is the view window that I want to create, and I'm going to have it cut out towards us in this body. So we'll go to features, and this time I've been doing everything's been adding material. I want to take material away, so I'm going to use the extruded cut, and I want to flip that back towards us, and let's come through all. That's one of the end conditions that we've got. I'll go back to those real quick so that you can see that. Up to next, up to vertex, up to surface, offset from surface that I used previously, and up to body and midplane. The through all is going to make sure that I get that cut all the way through, but you'll see the preview does kind of a first pass on the math and understands, hey, we've got something out here 45 millimeters, and so it's going to show us a preview of cutting out to 45 millimeters. Whenever I click on the green check mark, it's going to do the higher level math and understand that it only has to come out about 8 millimeters in order for it to cut through the part. But SOLIDWORKS takes care of all that for us, and so just like to point that out. First time people are seeing those previews and it comes all the way out to the extremities of our part, it's the preview is just showing us I might need to go out as far as 48. I do want to specify my feature scope down here, meaning that I want this cut to only affect the near side body. I don't want it to affect the far side body. Green check mark here is going to create that cut. Now I didn't put the draft angle on that feature on purpose. Let's go back in here and hide this optic sketch as well, clean that up. Reason why I didn't do that is I didn't want all of these faces related to this cut to be the same draft angle. I want to affect them individually. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use the draft feature in order to create our taper, and I'm only going to affect this bottom face to begin with. So you'll find over here kind of in the modifying area of our toolbar, and if you haven't noticed before, features are broke up into 3 areas: adding mass, taking away mass, and then we've got our modifying area. So here we can go to the draft command. Tooltip tells us that it's going to taper faces a specified angle based off of a neutral plane. So when we first get into this, you'll see that we've got a manual side and a draft expert side. I'm going to stay over on the draft expert side. That's going to help me out with quite a bit. One of the things that I want to do is I want to go ahead and define that I want to specify 3 degrees draft. And the next thing that I need to know is where is the neutral plane. As you're getting used to new features and you're not quite sure what it's looking for, you can hover over the input box and it will give you that information. Like this box is looking for faces to draft. This box is looking for the neutral plane. You also can use the confirmation bar down at the bottom where it gives us information telling us to select a neutral plane and then the faces to draft. My neutral plane, using my flyout feature manager, is the front plane. And then I'm going to specify the features that I want to draft as being this very bottom face. Now it's really important to pay attention to this arrow. I haven't hit the apply button yet, but it's going to affect where and how the taper is going to happen. Because I chose the front plane, this edge right here lies on the front plane, which means it's going to stay put, and that our taper is going to happen away from that neutral plane in the direction of pull. So when we hit the apply button, it's going to apply 3 degrees of draft just to that one face. It was very, very subtle because it's only 3 degrees. We'll get into that a little bit more. If I want to show you that 3 degrees draft, we could come in and we could create a section view. I can go and you can see how the 3 degrees of draft is here rather than being exactly horizontal, much like the line above it. You can see it's only affecting the one face. The reason why I did just the one face for the moment is I wanted to start to create the connection between the optical outputs. I want to create the bridge right where your nose would go in between the optical mounts.